Bolton Gaming Market then. What did I think? Who did I meet? And what did I buy? Alright everyone, thanks for pressing play once again. I'm the man Nicole, Pixel Paul, and Bolton Gaming Market. So hopefully you'll have seen my previous video from the weekend, which was basically a bit of a look around the actual footage from the event itself at Bolton Wanderers Football Club, Bolton Gaming Market, first one to be held in Bolton. I think more or less it's the first one to be held sort of in the northwest or in Greater Manchester anyway. Yeah, I had thoughts about the market itself. You'll probably have seen other videos as well, which have probably given their two penneth and what they've thought about it. And there's been good things, there's been bad things. And I think that's the same with most of these markets, to be honest. And I think the sort of negative things are very much the same sort of things overall. We all know that these gaming markets, wherever they are in the country, possibly even more so maybe in London and the south, we all know that in general there's a lot of expensive stuff. There's a lot of overinflated prices, and there's not much you can do about that. There's, you know, the sellers are there to make money. They are there to sell games. They are there to make a profit, and you know, some are quite willing to sort of do a bit of haggling and a bit of negotiation over the price, perhaps, whereas some can't or won't or just don't want to, and that's up to them, I guess. But yeah, I kind of knew. I mean, I had zero sort of expectations. Like I said before, this is the first one that I've ever been to, so I had sort of I don't want to say low expectations or zero expectations, because I knew about the expense and that, you know, things can be quite expensive for them. But I went into this one fairly open-minded, and yeah, in all honesty, the first thing that does hit you is that, you know, there's certain things which do seem to be quite pricey. What I did notice was that Xbox 360, I don't know what it is, but Xbox 360, where some of the sellers are still riding that wave of the Xbox 360 boom from last year, from 2024, possibly they're still on that. I think that Xbox 360 boom is over. I think the prices are starting to drift a little bit south now. But you wouldn't possibly have thought that from the gaming market this weekend. But yeah, certainly Xbox 360 was quite expensive. And there's a lot of other expensive stuff as well, though, to be fair. But that being said, I'm quite happy to, you know, really sort of dig deep into these sorts of things. So you've seen me at car boot sales. I don't pay any more than what I want to pay. I don't pay, you know, over the odds for things. I like to find the bargains. I like to find things, you know, at the very least at sort of CEX prices if I can. And obviously sometimes some of the things that I'm after, you know, particular sort of like Mega Drive or Super Nintendo, N64, Game Boy, you know, they're quite hard to come by in CEX. So if you can find them at CEX prices and in good condition, then for me, I'm happy to pay that. And I think that's one of the things that I actually really loved about the event itself, is that there was just so much retro and so much boxed sort of Nintendo and Mega Drive stuff. And I would say a good 75 to 80% of the stuff, you know, the boxed, say Nintendo box stuff, I thought was in really good condition. When you are kind of, you know, we don't all get to go to the indie shops all that time, and even then when we go to some of the indie stores, you know, the condition of games can be very hit and miss, you know. And how many times do we see in the sort of CEX glass cabinets, you'll see, you know, N64 games, SNES games, and the boxes are squashed, looking like a sandwich, and dog-eared and horrible. How many people have done sort of CEX roulette with some of these games, and you get them through the post and they're just an absolute mess? You know, I take you back a couple of weeks when I went to get Streets of Rage 2 from CEX, and it looked like a dog had sort of been chewing on it, really. So to see that amount of games there, and there was a variety of games as well. And again, I'm sort of talking 16-bit, 8-bit, 64, PlayStation 1. You know, to see that much there in such good condition. If you had the money, you know, if you had an endless pot of money, you could go absolutely wild, because you would find stuff in really decent condition there. And I was quite lucky in a way, because I did budget. I'd been budgeting and putting away and saving money up, and I had a nice little wedge of money to take with me. Not a vast amount or anything like that by any stretch. If I'd taken more, Would I have spent more? Quite possibly. So I was quite happy to have that kind of set sort of budget, took that with me, and that's all I was going to spend. And to be quite honest, I didn't spend it all. I still had some money left over. So yeah, the overall event, I thought it was pretty good, to be fair. It got nice and busy. The early bird hour was not too bad, but certainly when the 12 o'clock doors opened, it soon filled up. I don't think there were necessarily maybe as many sellers and vendors there as there are maybe in some of the other gaming markets, possibly because it's new, because it's in Bolton. It's the first one here, so maybe there's a bit of a sort of tread lightly approach to it, and some people maybe, or some sellers didn't want to come to this one as it was the first one, perhaps because they weren't sure what kind of audience or how many tickets were going to be sold, or I'm not sure. But I certainly thought it had potential. I thought there was a good vibe in the room. There was so many sort of people there who were just happily talking about games. It was so amazing to go into that room, because I've been in that room loads of times for Halloween discos for Junior Whites. I've been in there for I'm trying to think what other things, Player of the Season awards. I've been there for Christmas choir things as well, family fun days. But it was nice to go in there for this time and just be surrounded by people talking about video games. It was great. I loved it personally. The only thing I didn't like was that cough. I had that cough all the way through, which kind of hindered me a little bit talking to people who I'm going to mention now. Cheers, everyone. So yeah, I could have done with one of those halfway through the day, because it was quite a long, it wasn't a full day or anything. I was there for, I was queuing outside from about sort of 10:30, and I didn't get away till about 3:30 in the end. So, I was there for quite a while, really. A lot longer than possibly I was expecting. Certainly a lot longer than Mrs. Pixel was expecting me to be there. But anyway, but yeah, it was good. And, vast majority of that time I spent browsing and searching for those games. I'm going to come on to those games shortly. But I spent a decent portion of the time talking to people as well. And now, I'm possibly not the most talkative person. I've said it before, I'm quite sort of introverted, but I'm quite happy to speak to people too. It's just maybe not my sort of natural thing. But yeah, it was so good to sort of meet so many familiar faces. A couple of people who I've met before, but yeah, a whole raft of people who I've never sort of met before, other than sort of talking to people on like Instagram and on YouTube comments and that sort of thing. So it was great to actually meet people, in person. So while I was in the queue, we were there for the early bird 11 o'clock kickoff. I was talking to Emily Pops, who has a great YouTube channel. She's a local girl, and she I think she's around Chorley Way. She was only able to be there for about an hour because she was going watching Preston versus Villa. We won't talk about that result, Emily. So yeah, it was great to have a chat with her at the start of the event. I also bumped into James Welsh, I think it was. We had a good chat towards the start of the day as well. He convinced me to go back and buy one of these games, which I did. Also in the queue to get in, I met up with Dodgy D-Pad and his family. Great little family, great guy, great to have a chat with you guys. I also spoke to Michael, who also is known as the Autistic Witcher 64. Comments a lot on my sort of channel and my videos, so it was amazing to talk to you and your other half as well. Amazing to learn about sort of like your collection of stuff for The Witcher. It sounds incredible, and he bought or he got quite a good deal on some unboxed NES games as well, which I'll talk about in a minute as well. I also met Jack of all Tradings as well. We had a quick chat. It was good to meet you. I also met the Virtua Father, who has a really decent channel, really good channel. It's only just sort of started in the last few months. But yeah, I met Virtua Father and the Virtua Kids as well, telling me about their Outrun collection, which they're building up, and that sounds amazing. But yeah, really good to meet you two, you three as well. That was great. And of course, I also met up with 8BitH, who came to the event with Donald Mackerel as well. And so yeah, Donald Mackerel, many of you will know his channel because he's he's just such a great YouTuber, isn't he? Great collector as well. We've been sort of speaking on YouTube and what have you for quite a few months now. I think I only discovered his channel maybe sort of early last year, but I've become a big fan of it and a big fan of him. And yeah, it was absolutely amazing to finally to meet up with Donald. He wasn't particularly impressed with the event. If you've not seen his video, check it out. It may feel like the sort of dark side to my light side point of view of the event, possibly. But no, I totally understand where he's coming from with some of the things that grinded his gears with the event. But yeah, it's worth checking out that video. But yeah, absolutely amazing to meet those two guys. Really nice, nice pair. And yeah, just loved them both. They were just great to sort of just wander around and chat with. And yeah, just sort of made the day a little bit as well. I'm glad I just about caught you as well, because I know Donald Mackerel was about to just go. I think he'd had enough, but no, he got persuaded to come back in, and as fate would have it, just as he was walking in, I was sort of heading towards the door to see if I could see him, and there he was. So yeah, it was great to meet you two. Right, okay, I made you wait sort of, long enough. Let's get on to the games that I actually bought during the day. So the first one, I'll get this one out of the way first. I'll show you this. So as I was saying, I was talking to Michael, the Autistic Witcher. He'd bought a raft of NES games, unboxed NES games, got a really good deal on it. It was a big sort of bag full of games, but unfortunately he had one duplicate in it, and he sort of mentioned it. And then I can't remember how long we were talking. It was for a while, but just partway through the conversation, he just handed me this game and said, "This one's for you. It's the duplicate. You can have that one." And I was over the moon with that. I couldn't believe it, and I offered to pay for it, but he wouldn't have it. So yeah, he gave me this one. It's an unboxed NES game, and it's the Wrath of Black Manta. So I've never played this one. I never had this one. I've been aware of it, and I think I might have even seen it somewhere, but no, intrigued to see what this one's like. I think it's a bit of a platform ninja type game, but we'll see what that's like. But yeah, for him to give that one to me for free, I was absolutely made up, because I do have a bit of a small sort of collection of unboxed NES games as well, so this will go into there as well. But it's really nice condition as well. So that's the Wrath of the Black Manta. That was a gift, so thank you very much for that. I'll go with these two as well first. So these were, and I can't honestly remember who the vendors were with some of these games, or most of these games, to be honest. I would have sort of name dropped the vendors, but it was so busy you couldn't, in a lot of the stores, you couldn't actually see the names of the vendors. So so I can't really say who I bought some of these off, but I bought two loose Mega Drive cartridges. This one was £1.50. Eternal Champions on the Sega Mega Drive. Nice condition, looks alright. So I did have this one back in the day. It was like the Mega Drive's sort of Street Fighter 2 attempt in a way, I suppose. And it was, I always remember it being a bit of a clunky beat 'em up, but yeah, we'll see how time has treated this one. Eternal Champions. Remember the sort of cast list of fighters in it was quite interesting. So yeah, I thought for £1.50 I'll pick that one up. I think you can buy it boxed relatively cheap these days, maybe sort of £10-12, something like that, but £1.50. And then for £1 I also picked up this one, and it is Wrestle War on the Mega Drive as well, and that was £1. Should have showed you that, shouldn't I, there? Yeah, £1.50 for that one. And £1 for that one. So Wrestle War, again, I just like any sort of wrestling game, so I thought I'd give that one a go. It's not in bad nick, to be honest. So yeah, two loose cartridges, £2.50 for those two. That's not bad, is it? Right, so moving on to the main sort of boxed games, and I think this was actually the first game I picked up on the day actually. So yeah, this one is Destruction Derby 2 on the PlayStation. I paid £15 for that. As you can see there, complete, very good condition. And yes, it's in very good condition, to be fair. It's one of those double cases, which I do love for the PlayStation. So as soon as I saw that, because this has been sort of one of the dual double case type things that I've been sort of after and looking for. CEX price, I couldn't find a CEX price for this because there's none in stock at the moment. But eBay, it goes for between £15-18, something like that. So and obviously eBay, you get it posted, who knows what kind of condition the box is going to come back in through the post. So to get it for that price, I was really happy with that. But it is nice and complete. I will now take it out of its wrapper again. Let's put that there and just show you inside. So disc and the manual, and yeah, really nice condition. Not a scratch on it actually. So yeah, happy with that one. 15 quid. Destruction Derby 2. The next up, we'll go with this one. So this one is, so this actually has a label on it, Bad FX Games. they actually had a few NES boxed games, and they were in pretty decent condition, and they weren't really sort of wildly priced either. I thought they were pretty fairly priced. So this one I paid for, well, I say fairly priced. I mean, I think this one was a bit of a bargain, actually. That game is on the NES, Mission Impossible. So fully boxed and complete with manual, £12 paid for that. And I think the selling point for me on this one was the condition. The condition of this is really good. There's a few rough edges on it possibly, but other than that, it's, you know, it still feels really sturdy. It feels like a newish kind of box in a way. So yeah, £12 paid for that. At the moment, CEX sell this boxed and complete for 25 quid. So yeah, well under the sort of CEX price. There you go, Mission Impossible. Not a NES game that I've played. I've not played this one before. Always fancied it though. So it'd be interesting to see what this one is like. I'm assuming sort of action platformer with sort of top-down vehicle sections and that sort of thing. Yeah, looks alright. But yeah, I'll show you inside as well, just quickly. So we've got manual, which is in pristine condition. Cartridge. It does have its sleeve as well. Yeah, there's the sleeve. And it does also have that very handy polystyrene thing at the bottom of the box as well, which is always a bonus because sometimes you don't get those. So yeah, really happy with that. Excuse me. I know one of my favourite YouTubers and back on Instagram recently as well, JB Collects, he bought this recently. He's looking to start collecting NES games, so he bought this recently too. So I think that was part of the reason why I picked it up as well, because I'd seen him buy it and I thought, I've never played that. So yeah, £12 paid for that, £25 in CEX. And I don't think I said that before, but yeah, we know that the prices at these places are, you know, pretty expensive. You know, there are bargain bins as well placed around, but I don't think throughout any of this lot that I've bought today, or the other day, I should say, I haven't paid any more than what I would pay in CEX. I mean, like this one, you know, that would have been £25 and I've paid 12. But I think there's only one game here which I've paid a little bit more than what I would have had to have paid in CEX. So it depends what you buy, it depends what you look for, and it depends what you find, really. But I think I've done pretty well with these, and you know, that's an example of that, really. So £12 for a £25 game. I'm looking forward to playing that one. Looking forward to giving that a go. Right, next up, we're moving into slightly more sort of usual or generic territory for me, and we'll go with PlayStation VR. So I also picked up, and this was from Direct Deals, PlayStation VR PS4 game, PlayStation VR Worlds, and I paid £5 for that. So this was kind of like a demo almost, wasn't it, for PlayStation VR? And up until recently, I think this was about £10 recently in CEX. So again, £5, I thought that was a bit of a bargain, really. I did check when I got home, and it's down to £8 at the moment. But it's one of those that has kind of gone up and down. I think at one point it was about £6, then it suddenly flew up to you know, sort of £10, but obviously now it's down to £8. But even so, I still think that's a pretty decent pickup, that one, at that price. And then another PSVR game, I also got Rick and Morty Virtual Reality. So I got that for £4 as well from the same guys. Currently £6 in CEX. Again, I think that one was not that long ago, was about £4, and it went up to £6. I nearly picked it up not that long ago, but the condition of it wasn't very good. Whereas this one is in pretty good nick. So yeah, intrigued by that one, see what that one's like. PlayStation VR game, £4 paid for that. Excuse me, and I'm still struggling with this cough a little bit. It just will not leave me. Hopefully we'll get to the end of this video though. Next one, same seller actually, Direct Deals. This one doesn't have a manual with it. Again, I've said this before, manuals, no manuals, it's not a particular deal breaker for me unless I'm paying unless I'm paying, you know, a lot more money for it. It's not a major sort of thing for me. And I thought this one at this price, I was surprised actually, because although it doesn't have a manual, it still seemed pretty cheap for what it is. It's PlayStation 2. It's Mega Man X7 or 17, I'm guessing. Yeah, Mega Man on the PlayStation 2. I paid £8 for that. So like I say, disc is in really good condition, but there is no manual with it. But like I said, I'm not that bothered about that, as long as the disc is okay. £8 paid for that. That is currently £15 in CEX, and I guess with CEX as well, you know, that could be with manual, that could be without manual as well. So yeah, happy with that one. £8. I think that's a decent price for that. Great cover on that, great back cover on it as well. But yeah, never played this one, so looking forward to trying that. And I think, again, I think that's a decent price to pay for that. Okay, next up, these were all from the same seller. I actually bought the PlayStation 2 version of this not that long ago. So I saw this, £4 it was, PSP, and it is Taito Legends Power Up. So the difference being, I think it's pretty much the same collection as the Taito Legends collection on PlayStation 2, and I think it's on Xbox as well, except there are 4 enhanced versions of, which ones was it? Balloon Bomber, Crazy Balloon, Camel Try, and Legend of Cage. I was playing this on the PlayStation 2 the other night, actually, and it is pretty good. It's a really good compilation disc. There's some absolute classics on there. I mean, I went straight to Space Invaders, of course, but yeah, there's some other really good games on there. So I thought, yeah, it's a good one to have actually on the PlayStation Portable, on the PSP. And I thought at that price, £4. Currently, also £4 in CEX as well, so same price. But I must admit, I've never really seen it in CEX, so yeah, happy to grab that one. Now this one's a pretty good buy, I think. Same seller, it's on the Xbox. I paid £4 for it, and it's Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So this was the Xbox exclusive Buffy game. The other game was Chaos Bleeds, which was also out on PlayStation 2. Quite like that one, but I've never played this one before. But yeah, at £4, I thought that seemed really, pretty cheap. Then checking on it, CEX, it's an £8 game. So yeah, it's almost like 50%. And happy with that. Again, nice and complete, nice condition. So at £4, box needs a bit of a wipe, but other than that, yeah, happy with that one. Buffy on the Xbox, so £4 paid for that one. For this one, £3 paid. Again, now this is a bit of an admission for me, because again, I've never played this game ever, and everybody raves about it, and I think it's getting a remake or a remaster on the Switch soon, I think, or it might even have come out, I don't know. It's not my sort of type of game usually, but it is by BioWare, so I probably should have played it, with the Mass Effect history for me. But yeah, I really should give this a go at some point. And it's Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. So I paid £3 for that. Very nice condition. It feels very weighty. I know the manual's pretty big in this, but the manual's in really good condition as well. That's a weighty manual, that one. But yeah, nice disc. £3 paid for that. That is currently a £6 game. £6 game in CEX. So again, I think that's a pretty decent buy, that one. And yeah, I really should give that a go at some point. It's a big game, isn't it, this one, though, I think. So I need to find some time. But yeah, I'd love to try it. So maybe one day. And then this was the last one from that buyer. I wasn't 100% sure if I had this, and then I remembered that I've got the Wii version of it and not the PlayStation 2 version. So I saw this version of it and thought, well, I'll grab that as well because it's quite a good price. And it's PlayStation 2, The Godfather. And I paid, not that price, I paid that price, £4. So again, complete in box. Manual disc, very good condition again. Just again, probably the box just needs a bit of a wipe down. Excuse me. £8 in CEX that at the moment. So yeah, 50% off that again. I thought that's a really decent pickup at that price. Never played it. Not played the Wii version. It's just never really one of those Wii games that I kind of think to play particularly. But on the PlayStation 2, might be tempted to give that a try at some point. But yeah, happy at that price for that one. Okay, moving on, the final three pickups. These were probably the three pickups, yeah, probably my three favourite pickups. This is where the money went. This is where the money was spent on these three games. Now, two of these games were on my sort of hit list. I took a hit list. There was one other game that was on that hit list, which I did see there, but I left. It was over the sort of CEX price. I'll explain that in a bit anyway, but I'll get onto these three. So the first one was, and this was the game that I think it was James sort of told me, go back and get it. You'll regret it if you don't. I was umming and ahhing over whether to get this or not, but in the end, I had to grab it. There weren't too many copies of this in there, actually. I thought there might have been a few more copies, but there wasn't. As far as I could see, I think maybe there was one other copy. And I think of the two, this was probably the better one. And I finally got it. I finally got this as a physical copy. I've got it finally. You'll have seen that video a few weeks ago where I tried to get it from CEX and it came looking like a dog had chewed it. So I finally got Streets of Rage 2 on the Mega Drive. And I am very, very happy with that. It doesn't have a manual. But I paid £25 for it. So £25 Streets of Rage 2 without manual and CEX at the moment is £28. So I have paid under the CEX price for it, really. I think that with manual it's £38 still. So yeah, at £13 under, and a couple of quid underneath the no manual price of CEX, it made sense to buy it because I just want to have it. I just want to buy it and play it and have it in the collection finally. So yeah, I am glad that I bought Streets of Rage 2. I'm glad I went back for it because I've played it before. I've played Streets of Rage 2, loads of times, but I've just never owned my own physical copy of it. The box is a little bit, well, I say it's a bit worse for wear, but to be honest, it's just a little bit of old sellotape on the front, which just needs to come off, and a little bit of goo gone on that, and that will come up quite nicely. It will look quite nice, that, because otherwise it's in pretty decent condition. And there's the cartridge as well. Again, compared to the state that the one that was in CEX the other week, this one is absolutely lush. So yeah, I am really happy to have finally picked Streets of Rage 2 up. I cannot wait to actually just put the cartridge into my Mega Drive and play it the way it was supposed to be played, in a way. So yeah, Streets of Rage 2, paid £25 for that one. Now, because I got Streets of Rage 2, I also got Streets of Rage 1, or original Streets of Rage. Again, £25 paid for that one. This one is complete. This one is, totally complete, in immaculate condition. Excuse me, £25 in CEX as well as at the moment with manuals. So yeah, I was quite happy with that, really. I'd bought the first one. I have had this one physically before. It was just Streets of Rage 2, which I've never had physically. But yeah, I just thought you finally got the second one. Let's get the first one as well again. And at £25, that was from Direct Deals. Let's have a quick look at it. Let's crack it open. So there you go. And it is in decent condition, this one. Very clean looking, actually. The manual's great. The manual's actually really good, to be fair, as well. Look at that. They can come in really awful condition, can't they? Mega Drive manuals, just because of the way they sort of sit, or used to sit in the box. They were not particularly well secured in, so it used to sort of end up with them being dropped out of the box all the time and that sort of thing. So yeah, happy with that manual. And there's the cartridge as well, which is in very nice condition, to be fair. Again, very clean. So yeah, more than happy to have paid that for that, and to have got it. And to have got both of these two into the collection finally. So yeah, Streets of Rage 1 and 2. I won't be getting 3. It's too expensive. I used to have it, but I haven't got it anymore. But I won't be getting 3. Not for a long time anyway. Anyway, sorry. And I kept on having to do that on the weekend. So I know when I was speaking to people, I was coughing a lot because it was just, I think I was speaking so much and talking so much that it was just starting to build up, and I was trying not to cough, and then eventually I just had to start. So anyway, enough for me to talk about coughing. So the final game that I picked up, this was one of the games that was in my most wanted list. Now, there were 2 N64 games on that list. They've been on my most wanted list for a while, actually. Now, one of the games I used to have in my original collection, and one of the games I've never played before, but absolutely adore the series. To be fair, I love both of the series of these games. Yeah, one of them I've never played before. And I kind of had the feeling that if they were both there, and if they were both sort of roughly the same price, if I had to get one, I would probably get the one that I've never played before. But I didn't in the end. I plumped for the one that I used to have in the collection. This is the game that I paid slightly more than CEX price. So the CEX price is £40 boxed and complete. I paid £45 for this. But again, the condition for this one, it's probably the condition that makes that extra £5 completely worth it, because once I get it out of the box protector, you'll see it is in immaculate condition. And the game is Wipeout 64 on the Nintendo 64, of course. So yeah, there you go, £45 paid. And it is in absolutely immaculate condition. So I've played this one before and really enjoyed it. It's one of those games that just went when I sold my original collection. So it's nice to add this one back in. There's a certain sort of extra nostalgia element to this one in finally sort of having it again. The other game was Ridge Racer 64. So I absolutely adore the Ridge Racer series, but I've never played Ridge Racer 64. And I think I saw it twice in there, and both sellers were selling it for £50, which at the moment it is £40 boxed and complete in CEX. So I thought £10 over is possibly a little bit of a, not stretch, but just a little bit more than what I would want to pay for it. I'm quite happy to sort of wait and hang on and see if I can get that from CEX or wherever, from near that sort of £40 mark. I have to admit, I kept on going back to that stall that I saw it first, though, to see if it was still there, and there was a couple of times where I was just thinking, you know what, just get it anyway. But I was good, and I didn't. I just stuck with the Wipeout 64, and it's probably the right thing to do. But anyway, so yeah, Wipeout 64, absolutely amazing condition. I think the worst bit about this box is probably that bit there, and that is it. There's literally nothing else I can complain about with this box, really. It is in incredible condition. There's a slight crease there, maybe, isn't there? Yeah, maybe that, you could point that out possibly. But other than that, excellent condition for this one. Let's have a look. I remember pulling the manual out and thinking, God, this looks like it's absolutely brand new. It's a great cartridge as well, very clean. Happy with that. In the box box insert was good. And look at, the manual's just really good condition. All the edges are nice, and let's take those out, because again, all the bump was in there as well. So yeah, really good condition. Not a fold, not a crease on it. Looks like it's barely, never been opened possibly. So yeah, £45 pay for that one. That was the expensive one of the day. But I am happy with that. I can't wait to play that again. I have been playing a lot of the Ridge Racer Wipeout games recently. So yeah, to get that one, I think now I only have the original Wipeout to get on the PlayStation. I think after that, I've got all of the Wipeout games, pretty much. I think, could be wrong. There might be another one. I'll look it up. But no, that was the big one. That was the one that I've been waiting to try and get. So really happy with that. So that was it. That's the haul. 15 games overall. 15 games bought there. And like I said, I didn't spend all of my budget, so I still had a little bit of budget left over. About £50, I think, something like that, still left over. 50 quid. So yeah, like I said, I probably maybe could have bought that Ridge Racer, but I'm not in a major rush. I'll be able to find that again possibly at some point. Who knows? Maybe I'll find it at a future gaming market, because overall I enjoyed it. I really did. I just had a really good time today. You could tell by the sort of length of time that I was there. But yeah, overall I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really well run. Yes, the issue with prices and some of the vendors, but I think I expected that, to be honest. I knew that, and you've just got to play the game a little bit, haven't you? And overall, yeah, I just really enjoyed it. I loved meeting everybody that I met. My only regret is that maybe I didn't take more footage with people or take pictures with people. So maybe that's a lesson learned, and for the sake of this video or future videos, maybe I'd want to do that maybe and incorporate people onto the channel perhaps. But that's for another time maybe. I'm not sure when the next one will be. I am hoping maybe they will do another one at Bolton again. I think there's a lot of potential there. There's a lot of appetite for it, I think, in the Northwest. So yeah, if you're listening, replay events. If you're listening, replay events, get it back at Bolton Wanderers. We want another one. Do it again. please. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you enjoyed looking at the games that I picked up. Again, if you were at the event and said hello and I've not named you, apologies. But yeah, I really appreciated all the sort of people that approached and said hello, and there was a couple of people who sort of said my name and as they walked past, and sort of gave me a thumbs up or whatever, and no, it was weird but nice, and it was just, yeah, I enjoyed it. And a lot of the sort of messages that I was getting about people who said, I really enjoy your channel, thank you for, I even got a thank you for your content and your videos, which was amazing. So yeah, it just made for a really good day. I genuinely really did enjoy it, and just being in a room with all those games, all those video games, all those physical video games, I was just in my element, really. So I just loved it. I really did. It was a great day. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.